If you guys clicked on this video, you are here for one reason and one reason only. You guys are trying to build massive tree trunks. You want to be the quad god. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. I'm going to be doing a voiceover of my quad focused leg day. So to start off, on all my leg days, on actually any single day I train, I always do a warm-up. This consists of 3 rounds, 3 different exercises, 15 reps each. Super lightweight. All I'm doing here is getting a sweat going, warming up my muscles, and priming it for my first movement. By the way, I didn't record any clips for the warm-up, but essentially what I did was just some adductors, some seated leg curls, and a little bit of bodyweight squats. So for my first movement, even though it is a quad-focused leg day, I do one hamstring movement, and vice versa. On my hamstring-focused leg day, I always do one quad movement. So the way my coach has it programmed is I start off with my hamstring movement, and for this exercise, I'm going to be doing lying hamstring curls. So for this exercise, I'm doing a total of 3 working sets. The first 2 sets, I'm aiming to fail right around the 10 to 12 rep range. And then the last set, I'll drop the weight slightly by like 10 to 15% and then do another set to all out failure. On this movement, what I really focus on is driving my hips into the pad. And on top of that, what I'll do is I really focus on my tempo. So I go really slow on the eccentric and explode up on the concentric, pausing both at the bottom and top of the movement. The lying hamstring curl is one of my favorite movements for hamstrings. Next to that is probably seated leg curl. I switch off between the two, but this is a really good exercise if you're trying to bring up and develop your hamstrings. The way my coach has it programmed, I really like it. Failing between that 10 to 12 rep range for 2 working sets, then slightly dropping the weight and doing another all-out set to absolute failure. So once we are finished with that, that is it for hamstrings. We are done, not touching them again until a few days later in the week when we have our hamstring focused leg day. So the first movement for quads is going to be the leg press. And recently I have really been liking this single-legged leg press. I think this machine is by Hammer Strength. When I first joined my gym, I saw this thing and I didn't even touch it for the longest time. And then there was one day I tried out the single leg press and I absolutely loved it. For this exercise, I'm going to be doing 2 top sets, 2 working sets, aiming for 15 reps to absolute failure. Obviously, I'm doing a decent amount of load on here, so I got to work my way up. For my working set, I did 480 pounds, which is like 240 pounds per leg. The goal here is to work your way up to a top set. You don't want to just rush into it and just do your top set weight. You know, you gotta build your way up there. So I'm slowly increasing the weight, getting my legs adjusted to the range of motion, to the movement, to the stress that I'm putting it under. And before I do my first working set, I'm making sure that I give myself like a decent amount of rest. I'm nice and recovered, I'm primed, and I'm ready to attack my set and give it my absolute all. So I actually start always with my right leg. I feel like my right leg is slightly weaker than my left. Part of me feels like I have a slight quad imbalance. I can tell visually by looking at my legs. So that is why I start with my weaker leg first. Whatever reps I get with that first leg, even though my left leg is stronger, if I could do more, I'm going to stop and match it to my weaker leg. This is kind of the way I attack a muscle imbalance and try to essentially fix that. So for this exercise, I ended up doing 480 pounds for both sets, and I got 16 reps on each set. So the reason I like this low volume, high intensity approach is because it's very easy to track progressive overload. The previous week, I'm looking at my notes now, I did 470 pounds. First set, I got 17 reps, and the second set, I got 15. This week, I bumped it up. So next week, instead of doing 480 pounds, I'll probably do 490, and I'll aim for that 15 rep range. If I do not achieve the 15 reps, then guess what? I'm going to do that weight again week by week until I either get 15 true reps or I surpass that. But let's say next week I do 490 pounds and I only get 13 reps. Then that following week, I'm going to do 490 pounds again until I can get a true 15 reps. So after the leg press, yes, I know this is crazy, but I do train calves. Starting off with a straight leg calf press. So I don't go too crazy on the weight here. I think I was only doing like 80 or 90 pounds, and I'm doing 2 working sets for this. But On this exercise, I'm really focusing on getting a nice deep stretch on my calves and holding that for about like 2 to 3 seconds. I'm going nice and slow with this movement, controlling the eccentric, making sure I feel a good contraction, pausing at the top and bottom. With calves, the last thing you want to do is be bouncing the weight. My coach is big on holding in the stretch position for a few seconds. This is something I've recently implemented into my training, and I gotta say, I absolutely love it. For the longest time, probably the first 5 years when I started training, I completely neglected my calves. I did not do them at all. My mentality was, oh, calves are genetic. You either have them or you don't. But I really think that's like, it's a bitch mentality, to be honest. You should never let your genetics like hold you back from anything. So as something as calves, if you kind of think about it, legs make up 50% of your body. Your calves make up 50% of your legs. So essentially, you're kind of, if you're not training calves, you're skipping 25% of your body. So I like to do the straight like calf movement, and then later in the workout, I'll do some seated ones, but I like to do them on the leg press. The way calves are programmed currently is they're at the end of my workout, but I like to sprinkle them in throughout, because if I wait for the end of the workout, I'm going to be so gassed and tired from all my leg movements that I'm not even going to want to do them, and I'm just honestly going to half-ass them. So to me, I want to bring up my calves. They're a priority to me. Instead of doing them and saving them for later in the workout, I'm doing them after the leg press. Plus, this gives me a slight chance for my quads to recover before doing my next exercise, which is going to be leg extensions. 3 sets on this, and I'm aiming to fail between, let's say, like 12 to 15 reps. This is a new leg extension machine that my gym just got, so I'm still getting used to like my strength on here. I started off with 70 pounds, ended up getting 17 reps, bumped it up to 85 pounds. I got 16 reps on that. And for my third final set, I did 100 pounds, and I still managed to get 16 reps. So for that following week, I'm going to have to bump it up pretty heavy, or just slow down my eccentric and go slower with the movement. Same thing goes as all my other exercises. I'm going nice, slow and controlled, controlling the eccentric, pausing at the top of the bottom. And big thing too is I'm keeping my butt locked into the seat. I see a lot of times people will do a full stack, and what they'll do is they'll let their butt shoot off the pad, and they're essentially losing so much tension on their quads. So like I said before, leave your ego at the door. When I train, I really focus on feeling the movement, feeling the contraction. If you're not, then you're essentially, in my opinion, just kind of wasting your time. Like, yeah, you can do a lot of weight, you can move it from point A to point B, but if you're not doing it in an efficient manner, then I think you're kind of wasting your time. So after the leg extensions, I'm going to move on to honestly one of my favorite exercises, which is the leg abductors. This is what I attribute to like giving my legs like the true size that they have. I used to do adductors and abductors as a warm-up before I would squat, but now I'm really treating them as like its own exercise and executing with a lot of intensity. So for this one, I'm just doing 2 sets, and essentially I'm working up to a max set of 15 reps to failure. Additionally, on top of that, I'm holding or trying to hold the weight in the stretch position for 3 seconds. Really getting a good stretch on your adductors. Really feel a good contraction on this movement. Go nice and light, but heavy enough weight to where you're, like I said, failing in that 12 to 15 rep range. To finish off the quads, what I'm going to be doing is a squat movement. So essentially here, I have the option to choose like a pendulum squat, hack squat, Smith machine squats. Recently, I've been really liking the pendulum squat. I've been doing this movement for maybe a little over like 3 to 4 weeks now, and I'm progressing on it well. Feeling really good on it, so I'm just going to stick with it. Not going super crazy on here. I think I'm only doing like around like 100 pounds or so. But my goal is I'm doing a top set of 8 to 10 reps to all-out failure. I like to kind of have more of a narrow stance, making sure my knees are over my toes, putting good tension on my quads, going nice and slow on the eccentric, pausing at the bottom, and exploding my way up. I like to get nice and deep on these, feel a good stretch, good contraction on the quads. And then for the second working set, what I'm going to be doing is dropping the weight by like 15%, and then doing another set to all-out failure. And then to finally wrap the entire workout up, what I'm going to be doing is a seated calf raise machine. So here I'm doing 3 sets, and I'm working up to a max set of 10 to 12 reps. I like doing these on the leg press a lot. My machine is kind of limited with the calf equipment that they have. I don't have many options, so if the gym isn't too busy and no one's using the leg press, then I do really like doing this. Again, get a really good contraction, really good squeeze. That's pretty much it for this leg workout. This is my quad focused leg day. I do hit legs 2 times a week. So like I said earlier in the video, I have a quad focused leg day, which is what I ran you guys through today. And I also have a hamstring focused leg day. So I'm hitting 2 legs 2 times a week. I'm following a low volume, high intensity protocol. I think the biggest reason why people lack on legs is because it's one, not necessarily a fun muscle group to train. Legs are very, very painful. I mean, like that set on the leg press, the set on calves. Honestly, this whole entire workout, as you saw, I had the hoodie up. I was really just trying to barrel through it and get it over with. Really put my all into it for about like an hour, hour and a half, and then get in and out of there. I think that's where people go wrong with legs, is they tend to hold back on how hard and how far they can push themselves, just because of like how painful some of these exercises is. So you really have to work on breaking through that like mental pain barrier and really hyping yourself up to, you know, push yourself to absolute true failure. Because even myself, I noticed in this workout alone, there was some areas where I held back. So, you know, really learning like what you're capable of, what your true strength is. So yeah, that is essentially my approach to training legs. This is my quad focused leg day. If you guys would like to see my hamstring focused one, please let me know in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. I will see you guys in the next one.